Underground rock music from the Soviet Union. The singers are Russian, but the boogie-woogie is in English. Known as Russlish, the English language is infiltrating the Iron Curtain from Britain and the United States. Words like rock music, sex appeal, jeansy, hooligan, shoesy, and even disc jockey. Superpower politics divide East from West. But for English, there are no borders. It is more influential than any language the world has ever known. This is the story of English and an English-speaking world.
The Story of English, funded by a grant from General Foods Corporation. General Foods, where ideas are growing to satisfy a demanding world. And the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation.
There is only one language for airlines taking off and landing in 157 countries around the world. And that's English.
Hello, Milano. I have for you
English is the universal language of air traffic control.
Coming from London to Fiumicino.
All'Italia 305, buonasera, radar contact, proceed as clear.
Geneva, bonsoir from l'Italia 305.
So an Italian pilot flying an Italian jet into Italian airspace contacts Italian ground control speaking only in English.
Italia 305, descend to flight level 130.
Scattered around the world by air travel and tourism, it's estimated that well over 1,000 million people make some use of British or American English every day. Half the world's telephones ring in English-speaking countries. English is used in 75% of telexes and telegrams. And letters and postcards delivered around the world. It's the language of more than half of the world's 10,000 newspapers and of 3,000 publications in India alone. Calcutta, Paris, Athens, Jerusalem, Cairo, Buenos Aires, Tokyo, and Tehran all have English papers. In news, English dominates the world's airwaves, which is why Iranians demonstrate in English. American English is the language of the world's movies. Jazz and pop and rock and roll are all sung in British or American English, even by Swedes or Poles. Over half of a recent European hit parade had songs in English, some of them from Germany. Other valuable commodities like silver, tin, platinum, and titanium are traded in English. And so is the hard currency of information. 80% of the world's computer data is in English. The TV satellites have already begun to saturate the world's small screens with programs in English. it is a language without frontiers. Ironically, English, the world language, is still alien to parts of the British Isles. On Barra, in the Scottish Hebrides, the first language is still Gaelic.
Most people here in Barra speak Gaelic. I speak Gaelic. All my family at home speaks Gaelic.
This castle is the ancestral home of an old Scottish family, the Clan MacNeil. My name is also MacNeil, Robert MacNeil. My branch of the clan left Scotland 4 generations ago and settled in the United States and Canada. I was brought up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and educated in Canadian schools. The way I speak English is a product of that background, modified by 30 years as a journalist in Britain and the United States. Like the people of Barra, people throughout the British Isles, in North America and around the world, we all speak varieties of English determined by our backgrounds. That's the word we try to use in this series, variety, not dialect, which is often a loaded word. Our story is not about the correct way to speak English, but about all the different varieties and how they came to be. Why a MacNeil in Nova Scotia sounds different from a MacNeil here in Scotland, or one in North Carolina, or in New Zealand. Varieties of English are as old as the language itself. In fact, the idea of a correct or proper way to speak is surprisingly recent. There is such an idea, of course. It's often referred to as the Queen's English, or BBC English, or Oxford English, or public school English. Public school English is barely 100 years old. It first echoed round the playing fields of schools like Eton, Harrow, and Winchester. In Victorian England, these boarding schools took boys from many backgrounds and gave them the same accent.
You had a kind of unnatural segregation of a subset of the people of the country, the very people who were going to become the most powerful. Because of their position of power, they were the basis of imitation. They were eminent and eminently imitable, as it were.
The presumed superiority of this accent lingers. Research in Britain shows that people using this accent are thought more intelligent, more trustworthy, even better looking. Its influence is declining, but the inculcation of public school English still goes on in schools like Winchester.
Well, I think anyone who does have a particularly fringe accent, who's right on the borders, would firstly be sort of persuaded gradually to conform with everybody else. Then if he didn't, he'd be ostracised, put out, and people would go out of their way to be unpleasant to him, I think.
When I first came here, I had a working class accent, and thus I was sort of, after a while, I was ridiculed. But you can gradually change your accent, and so that dies away.
Undoubtedly, the English public school has had an enormous influence on the dissemination of one variety of English, what I call a super dialect, that is, received standard or BBC English or public school English, whatever you call it. And it's only spoken by 1 in 50 people in this country, something of that sort.
This is London calling.
Now, here is Marion Cran, who's going to give you another of her garden talks.
I want to tell you about my little pond.
The invention of the wireless turned public school English into BBC English. The radio did for the spoken language what printing had done for the written. Listeners could hear for the first time a definitive English speech. The voice of information, culture, and the West End stage, in accents that now seem as dated as the clothes.
Fog is getting thicker. It's terrifying.
Don't worry. I know every inch of the river.
What's that?
Shh. It's gulls. We've disturbed them. They rest at night on the barges.
Better keep closer to the bank. They'll give us away.
Why do you hesitate?
I'm not hesitating. He deserves to die.
The immaculate crime.
World War II was the finest hour for BBC English, the voice of Britain resounding with authority and defiance.
This is London. All cinemas, theatres, and other places of entertainment are to be closed immediately until further notice.
When the war broke out, I happened to be in Wellington in New Zealand. I heard Neville Chamberlain speak. But the announcer, to me, was just as important as Neville Chamberlain. It was really some kind of extraordinary equation.
This is Pat Butler calling British forces in Gibraltar.
This is Marjorie Anderson calling British forces in India and Ceylon.
This is Michael Brooke calling Malta.
It used to stand alone like some great isolated supreme power of language, that what it said was both correctly said and was the truth.
I can hear machine gun fire, but I can't see our Spitfires. There must be somewhere there. Oh, here's one coming down now. Oh boy, look at them going, and look how the mission... that is really grand. And there's a Spitfire just behind the first two. He'll get them.
Under the command of General Eisenhower, Allied naval forces began landing Allied armies this morning on the northern coast of France.
Victory in Europe, 1945, and the voice of Edward R. Murrow symbolizes the growing importance of American English.
This is London. Tonight, London is a city of song and celebration and thanksgiving. Air raid shelters are as remote as the covered wagon.
Although it was because of the British Empire that received pronunciation became so prestigious worldwide, with the decline of the British Empire, although one might have expected at once the focus of English to have been replaced at once by the new power of English, namely the power of American English, where there are 5 times as many speakers as there are of British English, we had in fact moved into a different type of political and social and economic era.
The era of decolonization. The British left, but the language stayed. India's first Prime Minister Nehru declared that English should be replaced by Hindi. But the Queen's English was not so easily dethroned.
The impression was that in the post-colonial period, there would be a shift, a drastic shift from English to native languages. So what was earlier predicted was that after 47, there would be doom. That was end of English. But that changed now.
With its 14 competing linguistic traditions, India needs a linked language. And English has some advantages over Hindi.
English is considered, in some sense, a neutral language. If Hindi is imposed on someone, it is somebody's first language. Or if, let's say, another Indian language or another African language is imposed, it is somebody's. They have certain privileges. They are the native speakers. English, from that point of view, in the local context now, post-independence context, is neutral.
Besides, English had been indelibly stamped into the Indian bureaucratic mind. Today, among the scribes of Delhi, English is still the #1 language of civil administration.
This is for civil marriage. That's right. Hindu or Christian? Hindu, please. Hindu, please. 50 rupees should be deposited in room number 1. Thank you very much. Yes, and after 1 month notification, the idiom will be permitted you. In the whole world, the common language is English. In our world. Therefore, this is also common in India. It is popular. It is popular English. It is good English. Yes.
The official business of government, politics, and the law is also largely conducted in English.
Please wait.
Litigants can sue in any language, but most choose English. We counted 133 typists here at the law courts in Delhi, but only one offered a service in Hindi.
Sir, it is submitted here for your kind and sympathetic consideration at the earliest moment. Dated daily the so-and-so, yours faithfully, signed so-and-so the applicant.
You know what people don't understand? There are more Indians speaking better English than ever before, and there are more Indians speaking worse English than ever before, and that's because the ratio of both has gone up since independence. It's just a question of numbers. Let's say there are 750 million people in our country. 10% would be literate in a fairly proficient way. That makes a cool 70 million people. And that means more than there are people in England. And books too. We are the 3rd largest English language book producers in the world. And the numbers increase every year, they don't decrease. In fact, English is now one of the family of Indian languages. And there's no way that can be changed.
Teach me, O Lord, thy holy ways, and give me an obedient mind, that in thy service, I may find my soul's delight from day to day.
The next generation is also learning English. It is indispensable to a career, and it's an essential part of a good education.
Girls, have you finished your assignments? Submit your files on Wednesday morning. Start from there.
English is also socially desirable.
Let's find one. No, I read this one. Can you? Yeah, just a minute. Match for 20-year-old Hindu Brahmin, an extremely good-looking, smart, convent-educated girl, replied to box so-and-so.
It's understood that if a girl is convent educated, means that she knows English.
Every guy in today's society wants his wife to know English because he wants to move around in clubs and go to movies and meet his friends.
Today, 5% of the guys may not insist on English-speaking wives, but I think 95% of them do definitely consider English as a prerequisite for brides.
To be husband would certainly like his wife to be equally educated, if not better than him. And educated does mean knowing English. We are still very much influenced by what the Britishers left us with. You know, it was always English represents class. Whether it meant anything, whether it really is class, no. But they left us with the impression that to talk in English means you got class.
Till now we are under the influence of the Western culture, especially the British culture, the music, the dances, the books, the movies, everything.
It's a throwback to the British rule we had. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true that English is class, but we are brainwashed into believing it, and unfortunately we do believe it.
We must change our attitudes, our minds. We must realize that from now on you are no more a colonial, but a free and independent people.
The African sun set on the Union Jack, but not on the English language.
I have it in command from the Queen to read to you the following message from Her Majesty to her people of Nigeria. As you assume the heavy responsibilities of independence, I send my good wishes.
Africa needs a linked language even more than India, and English, or Creole English, provides it. This is Paramount Chief Anlat II. Just in his tiny chiefdom, there are 6 languages spoken. Africa itself has over 1,000 languages.
Most people talk Timni and the others talk Susu, but we have some minority tribes like Lokos, we have Limbas as well, we have the Fulas, and the Madingos are here.
The African nations with hundreds of languages need a lingua franca, and 16 countries have retained English since decolonization. English Creoles are spreading rapidly throughout the markets and bazaars of West Africa. Perhaps as many as 200 million people now speak them. And standard English is taught in Africa's schools. For these children, good English spelling and grammar will be vital for a career in law, medicine, or government. As president of Sierra Leone, Siaka Stevens welcomed the role of standard English in Africa's future.
Once the people chart their own course and they know what they're about, they realize, as we do here, that the purpose of education is not to rid yourself of your own culture, but to get as much as you can from outside, mix it with your own, and get something solid. If you want to earn your daily bread, the best thing to do to learn English. That is the source from which most of the jobs come.
This West African bauxite mine is owned by the Swiss multinational Alu Suisse, but English is the day-to-day language of operations.
We're going to finish very soon this mine phase.
We will be closing the road, this road that is now used by public transport to go to Sirabu.
Most of the people here are speaking English quite fluently. Maybe it's not classical English, but it's English. So it's the only mean of communication. There is quite a high turnover in our company. That means after 4, 5 or 6 years, the people are leaving the company. Who will replace them? Nobody knows. A German may be replaced by an English may be replaced by a German. So we have to use a language which is common for everybody. And this language is, of course, English.
The mine workers here speak 6 different African languages. So they talk Creole English to each other.
For this trip, you make sure say the trailer door lock before you move the vehicle. And when you move the vehicle, you foresee say it's straight. The unit, the tractor and the trailer body, they're all straight. Before you come down that hill, they for come down at the quarters. Yes,
yeah. Go now. Everybody to his tractor. Start.
English may be a legacy of the British Empire, but it has found new drive in the dynamism and power of the United States.
Language is associated with certain type of power, the economic power, political power. America has that. American variety might take over as an international variety. It's a kind of variety with virility, with certain character, and this is already happening. So I feel that the chances of the spread and impact of American English are greater than of British English.
As the 20th century advances, the influence of American English has grown with the growth of American military and economic power. But that influence is older than people think.
I don't think, there's ever been a survey by a responsible statistical body to find out what is the most influential form of English in the world. Everybody has his prejudices. I have one friend who says, I like Englishmen to speak English and Americans to speak American. And I say, talk to me for 5 minutes. And if he does, he's using, say, 300 Americanisms that came in 60 years ago, 100 years ago, and so on.
William Safire is America's most widely read language guru. Safire says that it's the sheer volume of American slang and jargon now flooding into the language round the world that's the measure of its power and influence.
American English, it swings a little. It's slangy. It flexes its muscles. Carl Sandburg once said that slang is English with its sleeves rolled up. And American English, I think, more than British English, welcomes slang.
One striking example of the way in which the English language is constantly and rapidly growing and adapting and changing is the influence of California. In this breeding ground for every new kind of lifestyle, every fresh form of religious practice or cult of self-improvement, the state that thrives on defense contracts and flower children, this home of Hollywood and Disneyland and media politics, California's huge energy has overflowed into the language.
So, Mark, what did you do today? Well, I got this new stick and I was cranking on some radical tube. Oh, yeah, sure. How big was it? It was, radically overhead, man. Oh, give it up. This is take 2. Life's a beach. 1, 2, 3, hey!
California is still drumming teenage slang into world English. The surf punks put surf talk into their new single, Life's a Beach.
So check it out, dude. I was cruising the beach yesterday. And the waves, they were totally cranking. I mean, it was really hot.
These certain words find their way into the whole language, and some of it's pretty off the wall.
Check it out. Did you witness my radical tube ride?
In surfing, when the wave curls over, and that's like the tube or the pocket. So if you're in the tube, you're taking the highest risk, and you're very rad.
Oh, wow, that was really hot! Let's go surfing!
20 people on the beach would say that was gnarly.
But Hairball is like, oh, man, that guy's on a 20-foot wave, and 2 guys just pounded into him. You go, Hairball.
I saw this chick, and she had a totally tight bod, and she was totally buff, and that means that she is in shape, and she's clean, and she's looking good.
Well, some guys wearing some rad outfit just go, wow, man, that's rad. That's pretty gnarly. I mean,
cooking.
Look at this. We all got the same watches, but totally rad.
Way rad. Way rad. Fully rad.
When surfing slang spread inland to the shopping malls of the suburbs, it became middle class and cuter. It became the talk of the so-called Valley Girls.
Either you're angry with somebody and you just want to say, oh, forget it, bag your face, or just you're so ugly, bag your face, get away from me,
Grody. Something really disgusting. Gross. So something yuck, like slime. If you see a guy and he's really cute and stuff, you could say he's awesome.
It's something that's great, could be tubular. It's something that's really weird, could be tubular.
You go someplace really nice, where you have a lot of fun, you say it's a bitchin' place, You say bitchin' about guys, and guys that are cute, of course. To the max, yeah, that's the ultimate, It's there's nothing greater than the max. It totally is used when you want to emphasize all those words that you said. It's totally bitchin', totally awesome, totally everything.
Slang like this flashed around the world when Frank Zappa's daughter Moon Unit made her hit single, Valley Girl.
Hips and softs.
Valley girl, she's a valley girl. Valley girl, she's a valley girl. Okay, fine, for sure. She's a valley girl in a rolling star. Okay, fine, for sure. She's a
Surfers might refer to a wave as being tubular, whereas a val might think that
you know, something that she ate for breakfast was tubular, or a dress that she saw. It's like somebody else's food, you know, it's like grody to the mouth. I'm sure. It's like really nauseating. Like, barf out, gag me with the spoon, gross. I am sure. Totally.
I think that the Valley Girl E's language was a happy passing fancy. It was a kind of streaker. Whatever happened to streakers? You know, the people who ran naked across the stage to shock. Well, in the same way, we have our streakers in language, where you get a flare-up of some activity, and a few words come from it, like the Valley Girls with the grody and the mac, and are gone.
Thank you very much. You've all been insipid and vacuous, and I'm never going to perform again. Thank you so much.
Gay slang has spread from San Francisco to World English and is giving new meanings to old words.
Gay is an interesting word. Gay has meant cheerful, lighthearted, carefree. It has also had a slang meaning. Gay ladies were prostitutes. And gay had a pejorative connotation in slang for many, many years, for centuries. So when homosexuals took on the word gay to define themselves, they chose a word that had connotations.
Tom Amiano is a gay stand-up comedian. His comic routines are suggested by the codes of the gay community. And so gay parlance becomes the talk of straight society, too.
A lot of gay terminology has now been appropriated. For instance, out of the closet. So-and-so came out of the closet and is a liberal. So-and-so came out of the closet and is a born-again something or other. Hello. You hear the term coming out. Did he come out? He's half out. When did you come out? To make it known that you're gay.
They said, well, what does it mean, queen? I said, well, there's all different kinds of queens. They said, well, give us examples. I said, well, I mean, there's dizzy queens and mad queens and lipstick queens and drag queens and macho queens and feather queens and disco queens and leather queens and tragic queens and magic queens and screaming queens and dreaming queens and attitude queens and platitude queens and hustle queens and muscle queens and pissy queens and sissy queens, black queens, white queens, left queens, right queens, red queens, dead queens, acid queens, speed queens, down queens and weed queens, Wizard of Oz queens and closet queens, size queens and aging queens and raging queens, to name a few.
Fall to the mat.
The feminist movement is already having an effect on world English. California has led the way in chopping sexism out of language.
Jab to the face. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Front snap, kick to the groin.
Chairman, policeman, and congressman are among the words being challenged by feminists. Some radicals have even turned history into herstory.
1, 2, 3.
The end of linguistic male chauvinism also means a new word for mankind.
People. As a Buddhist, there's a prayer, the last prayer, and it says, I pray for the happiness and peace of all mankind. It says this in the book, and I have to say to myself, I pray for the peace and happiness of all people.
The public opinion polls show that 30% of American women support and or themselves use the Ms. as a form of address. The government now uses it. Many businesses use it. And I might add we owe a debt to England in this regard because the Oxford English Dictionary includes Ms., MS, as a contraction for mistress, being a married or unmarried female, I think from the 17th century.
There is sexism in language, and it should be considered. And when you talk about a male man, and there are women working in that field and who want to work in that field, you can't call a woman, mailman, a mailman. She's a postal worker. Same thing with the idea of the rights of the working man. It should be the rights of the worker. So there are good words that can cover both men and women.
It's just very important, I think, to make language accurate and inclusive and to convey our real meaning. It's the strength of the English language that it does change as we change.
In Silicon Valley, even the streets have jargon names. Carl Rosendahl is one of a new generation of entrepreneurs who've made online and high-tech part of world English. He is already a millionaire with a state-of-the-art TV graphics company, Pacific Data Images. These images owe nothing to pencil or paintbrush, but are created entirely by computer programs.
Well, it is a very complex business, and so we have our own language that we use in-house for getting ideas across more efficiently to each other.
We have for the next low-res coming up.
It seems to fishtail right and left. It gives me quite a seasick feeling. Can we do anything about that?
Yeah, I think it's a discontinuity in the second derivative of the camera rotation.
Okay, well, you've got derivatives, and I've got seasickness. This business is so new and it's so technologically based that it really has had to develop its own language. They're very attractive words to jump on, and the way they've crept into the language is interesting. We go to a local video store and they sell hardware, which are the machines, and they carry software.
Every other video frame. Hardware and software now refer to more than just computers and their programs, but like tangible objects and intangible objects. So my head is filled with software. You know, I've got all these ideas, but if I take and build something, that would be hardware.
The round bulbs, why are they square?
Well, those are low-res bulbs there. I swapped out the high-res bulbs because the high-res bulbs are so polygon intensive.
Like if you get up in the morning and you're not feeling very good, you may say, I feel really low-res, versus, you know, high-res, real sharp and ready to go.
We don't talk to people anymore, we interface with them.
I'm in work mode, I'm in vacation mode. When I'm in work mode, don't talk to me about my home life. And when I'm in vacation mode, don't bother me with work. I heard an interesting one the other day, using read-only memory, referring to a person. So he's got read-only memory, which means that you can't get an idea into the person, but he's full of them to give out to you.
The center of gravity of American English seems to have moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, and everything is happening in California now.
American English, especially vernacular American English, slang and idiom and so on, is spoken by people who don't even know that it's American. They assume it's English. Also, I regret to say that a great many students and businessmen and so on of all nations pick up the bureaucratic American English, which is full of polysyllables, you know, and has lost simple prepositions and simple English.
In the elephantine circumlocutions of the Pentagon, bombing is air support. The dead and wounded are inoperative combat personnel, and a parachute drop is a pre-dawn vertical insertion. It's the ordinary fighting men who've given us boondocks for the sticks, gung-ho for keen, honcho for boss, and the universal acronym SNAFU for situation normal, all f***ed up. There's an old saying that a language is a dialect with an army and a navy. And in the past, all international languages have first followed the flag of imperial conquest, like Greek, Latin, French, and Spanish. But the story of English is different. When the British Empire began to fade, American power gave the language new life. And now there's a third stage. English has outgrown both its British and American parents. And out there, across the Pacific and around the world, regardless of mother tongue, English is everybody's second language. In 1984, 3 out of every 5 jumbos in the air were flying the Atlantic. Today, 3 out of 5 are crossing the Pacific. Now world trade and world English are taking off together. Japan is the engine room of the new Pacific economy. It has an astonishing 20,000 English words in everyday use, known as Japlish. For a Japanese, home is my home. Where you live is my town. If you're popular, you're a nice guy. Teenagers have girlfriendu and boyfriendu. English is everywhere, from the top 20 to the fast food business. Japlish runs from the manager to the menu. Eisu Primu, Mirku, and even Hamburger.
We in Oxford sell more English dictionaries in Japan than we do in the United States. They read them and use them and conquer the language. The learning industry of the Japanese is quite extraordinary.
English Picture Dictionary D.
Dream.
Dream.
Dream. Dream.
Japan is very important in Pacific English.
Singapore is a multiracial society, Chinese, Indian, and Malay. But to unify its people, it puts English first.
The first business of any language is to help our people make a living. And it's no use fulfilling our cultural selves if we can't fulfill our biological selves. So we make a living, and that means we have to learn English.
Singapore's prosperity was founded on ship repairs. These workers depend on English for their dealings with the outside world.
All this business has been done in English, and contract documents has been done in English too. The Japanese suppliers will come to the shipyard when there's a problem area with the material they furnish. This dry cloth material, we don't have any major complaint, but there's some minor complaint I'm going to tell you. We deal with the Chinese, we deal with the Americans, we deal with the Russians, we deal with the European, and we even deal with the Indonesians. Problem area we can take care of.
We couldn't foresee that English would become the regional lingua franca, that the Indonesians would move towards English and away from Dutch, and that the Thais would move more strongly into English and away from French.
Even after gaining our independence, countries like Singapore, Malaysia, and Hong Kong are using English increasingly so to do this business.
We were fortunate in that, quite fortuitously, American technological and economic dominance coincided with our English heritage. So the problem was solved for us. It was a bonus.
It's government policy to promote correct English at every level. Li Sao-ling was hired by the Straits Times to help its journalists brush up their sentences.
Singaporeans are pragmatic, practical, and English is the way by which we earn a living. For us, modernization has come through English. So much of our international trade, 3 times our gross domestic product, that's our international trade figures, has to be through the medium of English.
Now let's go very quickly through today's headlines.
Good English is seen as an essential part of progress in law, government, trade, and especially information.
Tell me what you have found wrong. The one I spotted, one of the very awkward ones, is on page 12. Package to help the poor coming. This is awkward. Just the kind of thing we're talking at the headline forum. Peter, I see you shaking your head.
Coming is so far divorced from the word package.
Exactly. No. It's too far away from package. So it should be
nearer.
Package coming to help the poor. Otherwise, it sounds as if the poor are coming at you, which is not what is meant. If you look quickly at section 2, we just have to have an English that is internationally understood. And that's why, I suppose, in a way, I'm in the Straits Times.
Not today.
Not today.
The extent to which English is taught worldwide is, again, absolutely overwhelming, bafflingly important. That English is taught as the #1 foreign language in the education systems of virtually every country on earth. It is more taught proportionately than any other language in the world is now or ever has been, and is taught in absolute numbers to more people in the world than any other language is or ever has been.
China after Mao. During the 1980s, the country's most popular TV series was a Teach Yourself English course entitled Follow Me. It turned its presenter into a media star.
Hello, I'm Kate Flower.
Kate Flower's show was watched by a regular audience of 100 million.
Yes, let's.
Brighton is the nearest seaside town. How far is Brighton? It's 85 kilometers away. How can we get to Brighton?
By train. We can get there by train.
Today, some 250 million Chinese are learning English.
Can take coach.
That's more than the entire population of the United States.
Faster by train.
By train.
The Chinese have the only language that rivals English in numbers. An estimated 1 billion use Mandarin. It's ironic that so many of them are now adding themselves to the growing legions who speak English. The 350 million as a mother tongue, the 400 million as a second language, and the 1 billion some claim can get by. In all, perhaps 2/5 of the world's population.
Well, my Chinese isn't quite good enough to translate all of that, but the basic gist of it was that it's for the sake of international friendship, that English is very much the international language used by many different countries, and also that it's necessary for China's progress.
English is so much the language of technology that even advanced countries have to publish scientific abstracts in English. So English has become the indispensable language of progress for the third world.
It is because of this advancement in matters of economics or science or technology that English has gained its importance. Most of the third world countries are developing countries, and they have to go a long way, particularly in economic development, some of them also in matters of political development, and they have to get at what has already been achieved in these fields by the developed countries, particularly in the Anglo-Saxon world.
So India has become a major force in teaching English to students from countries like Iran, Vietnam, and Cambodia.
A number of these countries have political systems which are almost diametrically opposite to the political systems that obtain in either England or America, and they think that India is politically closer to them. We have developed a non-aligned variety of English. Therefore, in that sense, we are helping the cause of English in a big way, which is no more the cause of England or America. It's the cause of the world. It's the cause of world communication, and we are doing our bit for it.
If we'd been making this series 10 years ago, it would have been different. We're in the middle of a dramatic story unfolding with astonishing speed. Since the 1970s, the global appetite for information has been growing rapidly, driven by the accelerating internationalization of business, of science, of society. In the phrase of the 1960s, we are now realizing a global village of communications, and the language of that village is English. English, the language of the skies, is now becoming the language of the 7 seas.
All ships in Dover Strait, all ships in Dover Strait. This is Dover Coast Guard, Dover Coast Guard. Warning.
Dover Strait is the busiest sea lane in the world. as many as 500 ships a day have to navigate safely through this nautical bottleneck. The solution is Sea-Speak. Based on Air-Speak, it's a simplified English for international waters. The seagoing community includes the traditional rivals of English. It's a sign of the times that they should turn to English to safeguard their merchant fleets.
This vessel is proceeding against the traffic flow. Dover Coast Guard out.
In France, the recent advances of English have intensified the vigilance of the Académie Française, appointed 3 centuries ago to defend the French language against such franglais as le week-end and le cash-flow. The French government recently convened a meeting of 41 francophone nations to create new French words to replace the flood of new English technological terms.
D'avoir été les mainteneurs.
So Jumbo Jet became Gros Porteur. The compact disc became Le Disque Audio Numérique. Le Soft, for software, became Logiciel. And the Walkman became Le Baladeur. Perhaps it's a losing battle. English is becoming a trademark of the world's multinational corporations. From Sweden, from Korea, from Holland, from Japan.
Nel ringraziarvi per la vostra gentile presenza, vi informo che a vostra disposizione
The ultimate example is the Fiat subsidiary Iveco.
a voi necessarie. Grazie.
Iveco's range of heavy-duty vehicles runs from trucks to amphibious fire engines. Based in Turin, the money is Italian, French, and German. None of its executives is British or American, but Iveco's company language is English.
My name is Giorgio Bertoldi, and of course I am Italian. This is also an extremely good occasion to meet my colleagues.
My name is Jean-Pierre Neveu. As you can hear, I'm French. Normally with engineering people, especially when we talk about heavy trucks, we are using only English.
My name is Peter O'Hauge. I'm a Danish subject, a businessman traveling through the world. English is part of his luggage.
My name is Peter Kaminski. I'm German. When I send the forms to the various branch of Iveco in the world, it's written in English.
Tomorrow he might be in the States. On the next step on his business trip, he might be in Hong Kong. He might then go to Sweden or to Holland, or he might come to Switzerland.
And the only way to understand something and to communicate with people was really to speak English.
We have a language at the moment that is more international than any other language ever has been in the world. I cannot believe that there are many of us who do not feel the advantages of belonging to, sorry about the cliche, the global village.
It looks to be certain that English will remain a world language for the foreseeable future unless there's some cataclysmic political change. For instance, supposing a nuclear winter came along and literally all Americans were turned into blocks of cindered ice, and there were no American speakers left. Clearly, the situation would change dramatically.
I think it's a glorious language. I think it's growing. It's getting more expressive. It's getting more global, getting more accepted around the world as the second language.
Supposing that there is some kind of stability, political stability into the distant future, American English seems to be winning hands down and will remain. American English, not British English, will remain as the major global form of English into the indefinite future.
At the end of the 20th century, the English language has crossed all frontiers, even space. There couldn't be a better time to look back, to see where our extraordinary language has come from. In the story of English, we'll show you our language in all its colors, from the frontiers of knowledge to the rhythms of everyday speech in all its variety around the world. In this story, we'll meet kings, conquerors, traders, and explorers, the great poets and playwrights, linguistic scholars, and the writers of dictionaries. But above all, we find that the making of English is not imposed from above. It bubbles up from below, from the speech of every man and every woman. In this story, we will take an extraordinary journey from an obscure Germanic tribe to the edge of the universe. In 1977, the space probe Voyager blasted off on man's most ambitious exploration of the planets. In case it encountered intelligent life, the scientists sent simple greetings in 55 languages. But the principal message from the human race to anyone out there in space was read by Kurt Waldheim in the accents of his Austrian fatherland, in English.
As the Secretary General of the United Nations, an organization of 147 member states who represent almost all of the human inhabitants of the planet Earth, I send greetings on behalf of the people of our planet. We step out of our solar system into the universe seeking only peace and friendship, to teach if we are called upon, to be taught if we are fortunate. We know full well that our planet and all its inhabitants are but a small part of this immense universe that surrounds us, and it is with humility and hope that we take this season. As the Secretary General of the United Nations, an organization of 147 member states who represent almost all of the human inhabitants of the planet Earth, I send greetings on behalf of the people of our planet. We step out of our solar system into the universe seeking only peace and friendship, to teach